Hello, Colin, you there?
Yeah,
How about now?
that's better. Can you hear
Oh,
me, Ruben?
I can hear you now.
All
Perfect.
right.
No problem. I don't know why. So I'm going to broadcast. How
Thank God.
about, do we have all the participants? We only have two participants.
Well, we'll see. We'll just wait a second.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why that was.
I don't know. I think we had to maybe log out and log back in, maybe.
That's what I did. Okay.
Yeah, we both did that, and so we'll
Yep.
go from there.
All right. I think we're good. And then I saw Alex there. So
Yeah, she just came in to make sure I was good to go. Well, we got a couple people signing on there. I see
okay,
four
good.
participants on
There's
my
four.
side. I don't see them all, but it says four.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good now.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we are.
And I have the presentation, so I can show it however
Yep.
however you want to do it.
Let me see. I'll try it. I'll try it on my end because I can see it now. And if that gets hairy, then I'll toss it to you. We'll figure it out.
Sounds good. Sounds
Matter
good.
of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put it up and see what we get. Hang tight.
If I share my screen, this will
Well, I got
stop.
my. Do you see?
This will
I've got my
stop
screen
other.
up.
Do you want to? This will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? No. Is that it? Is that you right there?
Yeah, that is that. Do you see my shot on the screen there?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Well, go ahead and drive. Go ahead and drive then. I mean, you're good, right?
You go ahead and start it, and I'll take over. Do what you do.
All right, it looks like we have 8 participants. So I'm going to go ahead and start the process here. And thank you very much, everybody that has joined to our first breakout session in this virtual conference. Hopefully it's going good this morning. Wanted to first just encourage everybody to use your social media to mention everything that's going on today. I think you can reach it at @ManUpQC and #ManUpQC. We also have a Q&A box on your screen that I encourage you to submit questions, during the session, during Colin's session. So, and at the end of the session, we'll go ahead and try to answer as many questions as time will allow. So I'd first like to introduce Colin Pinkney. It's my honor to introduce him. Basically, he works full-time as the executive director of the Harvest Center of Charlotte, and he served as a team captain for the Hornets since 2004. He lives in Charlotte with his wife, to whom he's been married for 24 years. He's a husband and father of 6 amazing children, and has much to offer in the way of fatherhood principles. So with that being said, Colin, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Ruben, thank you so much. God bless you, sir, for your unselfish service to Man Up and to the community. Gentlemen, good afternoon. And I should say possibly ladies and gentlemen, because looks like we've got some wonderful women who have joined the conference this morning. And we are so excited you are all here. I'm going to jump right in. Thanks, Ruben, for the introduction. Today, we're going to be talking about mentoring boys and young men. And I want to kind of give you a little background on this presentation and kind of get you up to speed on how it is that I got to be chosen as the workshop presenter for this topic. I paid the staff a lot of money, and they let me, no, I'm kidding. I will tell you that this comes out of, this mentoring boys and young men comes out of a model that I was blessed to really, it landed in my lap about 13 years ago. So know that the things I share with you, you may already have some of your own ideas about mentoring. Some of you guys are probably already mentors, and I applaud you for that. But if you're not a mentor and you're on this and you're thinking about mentoring and you need some kind of best practices and ideas, and I'm going to share with you things that have worked for me and things that I've been able to use to impact young men and boys. So the three goals I've got for our time together. First, I want to help us have some understanding around the characteristics of great mentors. Second, I want to expose just a couple of unhealthy attitudes that we need to be careful of as male mentors to young boys and men. And thirdly, I want to share 4 important values for mentoring that I have found over my lifetime that have surely made a difference, not only in my own life, but in the life of young boys and men that I've had the blessing to mentor. So I want to start with a little framework. I'm going to let you watch a quick video here, and it'll tell this, and then we'll go a little bit further. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear this video. Ruben, if you hear it, give me a thumbs up when I start it.
Maybe a little louder, but I can hear it. Yeah, it's still a little, can't hear it.
Stop share. Tell them you're going to start it again.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna start that video again because it is important for framework's sake. I need to get volume. Sorry. All right, guys. Thanks for that, Ruben, to catch up. Let's try that again.
All right.
It's very important that you guys and ladies, potentially, if you're there, get this. Let's try it again.
Can do when you're young like that.
Leader allegedly murdered at the hands of her boyfriend. Crime Tracker 36 reporter Mario Roldan talked to upset family and friends. He's live now outside Olympic High School.
Well, some call it a secretive topic, teen dating violence. There are ways to get help, but for an Olympic high school cheerleader, it's too late.
She was in love.
A star athlete, a cheerleader in and out of uniform.
No matter what happened in her life, she never gave up.
Charnay Watts' desire to never give up may have cost her her life.
That was the wrong choice.
Grandmother Shirley Rogers says Watts returned with boyfriend Gary Daniels. Over the weekend, police say Daniels, also 18, shot the Olympic high senior.
She had broke up with him, and she was doing good, you know, but maybe they were just trying to get back together at that time. It might be that he didn't want her to break up with him.
Police have not revealed a possible motive, but do call the shooting domestic related.
It's such a secretive topic.
Sandy Hammond helps run the teen dating violence program for Mecklenburg County. Hammond says there are red flags.
If they start to drop out of activities that they used to be a part of, if they start changing the way that they dress.
We may never know Watt's full story, but there's help to end dangerous relationships.
That may include seeking a protective order, which teenagers can do.
When you're young like that, you think you're going to live forever.
You're invited to a domestic violence march this Thursday at the Square on Trade.
So that video, that March 3rd, 2009, a reality in our city at a local high school, a young man killed a young girl. They were dating. They were classmates. I received a call in August of 2009 from the principal of that school she said to me, Mr. Pinkney, I heard you speak at another school. I need you to come give that speech at Olympic High School because our boys are in trouble. They're acting out. They're really having a lot of issues and fatherless homes, other issues going on. So I went, I presented that day to over 400 young men at that high school. And the next day I got a call back from the principal and she said, Mr. Pinkney, I need you to come back. The boys want to hear from you again. And that, long story short, led to a group mentoring model, which lasted for 10 years, in which 350 young men were positively impacted. We set a goal that they would graduate high school on time, and we achieved a lot of other things. But I share that to say, so this mentoring model that I submit to you today is one that has been tried and tested for 10 years as a result of violence and other attitudes and behaviors of young men in our community. And I would like to submit to you that these are things I believe you can use for your own purposes. The first thing I did, you see on the screen there, hopefully, Boys Don't Read. That was the first book club we did with the boys. I put this up on the screen because I did some research that said one of the issues for young men was that they weren't reading at the level at which girls were. And so I put this on the screen, and I will never forget in the classroom that day with the 35 young men who first attended, they all just kind of looked at me and twisted their head like, okay, next slide. Boys don't read. We don't. And that's what they said. We don't read. And that's where we started with a reading model that was bent on trying to help boys shape their hearts and their attitudes about how they thought about the world around them and about girls. And in 10 years, we read 14 books. Again, 350 young men went through the book club model. And so in about 10 minutes, I want to give you 10 years of learning for myself that I would submit to you. First, when it comes to mentoring boys and young men, we have to think, be great. We don't need any ordinary mentors. I will tell you for a fact that young men are looking for greatness. They want greatness. And if the mentor doesn't embrace this reality, that you first start from a place of mindedness, of gratefulness, of being great, right? And there's a quote there that says, great mentors care for his mentees in the same manner a great father cares for his kids. What I've learned, ladies and gentlemen, over the years is that mentoring and fathering are inextricably tied to one another. So when we start from a platform of healthy fathering, we then have the platform to become healthy mentors in our community. Now, that doesn't mean if you're not a father, you can't be a mentor. It means that you will necessarily carry the DNA of fathering into that child's life, and you just need to know that. You don't become that child's father, but the way in which you mentor these young boys and men is equivalent to a fatherhood methodology. And I would submit a scripture to you there, John chapter 14, verse 12 and 14. Jesus himself said, verily I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works that I've been doing, and they will do even greater things. Mentors have to have the notion that they can cause their mentee to aspire to greater things, greater than the mentor themselves, greater than their parents, their own biological fathers have. So that's the first characteristics of mentoring that I would submit to you, is you have to think, be great. Be great as a mentor, and transfer that thinking to the gentleman or the group that you mentor, right? The next thing I want to share with you real quickly is the idea of healthy attitudes and behaviors that mentors must carry. And these are just two of many. And I submit these two today because when we look at our world today and we think about young boys and men, what we know are two realities that continue to rise up. And we saw it in the video with Charnay Watt. Healthy attitudes and behaviors toward women are absolutely necessary for mentors to pass on to the young boys and men that they mentor. If you don't have a healthy framework for and a lifestyle of behavior towards women, then I would submit that that's an area of your life you need to really address before you attempt to pass on, because children will learn by what they see, not by what you say, right? One of my great mentors always said to me, he said, Colin, children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how we care for women as men and how we demonstrate that is so important in terms of values, attitudes, and behaviors for mentors. So first, make sure that we have addressed our own attitudes and behaviors about women as we move into healthy mentoring relationships with young boys and young men, because it starts at a young age. If I had time, I'd tell you about how I mentored my own sons, starting at the age of 7 or 8, and on through their lives still today. The second healthy attitude and behavior we surely need to embrace is that of our relationship with our own biological father. And when I say relationship, I don't just mean a natural relationship in which you have how you relate to one-to-one, but some of us don't have the advantage because our fathers have passed on. Our fathers are not in our lives, but the attitude and the behavior we have toward our biological fathers necessarily transfers in our mentoring to boys and men. So it's important for us as men that we have addressed those issues. And if we haven't, we need to be okay with making sure that we have gotten whatever reconciliation we need, particularly if it's an area of our relationship where there is unforgiveness, there is still hurt, and there are wounds. Then don't be, I would just submit, guys, that's an area of life we just have to shore up, because I've seen it time and time again where men who are hurting are trying to mentor boys and they're not helping the young men, because it transfers. Who you are is what they get. And if you don't have a healthy attitude about your dad, even though he may have done some bad things and hurt you, the power of forgiveness becomes part of the steps you take to mend those things in your own heart. Though you may not have done that physically, you still have an attitude about them that you've reconciled those things in your heart. Again, because the young men you mentor will get that transfer. And you'll see that when I talk about the values for a healthy mentor next on the next slide here in just a second. I'm checking my time. I've got just a few minutes. And then the last thing I want to share, and guys, I know I'm giving you a lot in a little bit of time, and there's more to all of this, but I believe if you start with these things, then you'll be on your way to some powerful mentoring realities in your own mind. I've got 4 values that have informed how I mentor young boys and men, and they're there on the screen for you. First, a godly or high moral character. So, and I put that because I want you to know that I don't believe only Christian men can mentor young boys. I believe men of high moral character should be engaged in this work of mentoring boys and men. I prefer it to be a godly Christian man, but if there are men of character in our world who have a heart and a passion to do this, then that surely is a value center that we can operate from. Secondly, about the value of being courageous in our mentoring with boys and men. We have to operate from a posture of strength and not fear. So having a courageous mindset about your mentoring, about entering to another person's world, that you stand for something, if nothing more than you stand for the fact that you believe in the power of transferring your shared knowledge with another person. But you operate from a position of courageous, right? And at the same time, the other side of the courageous coin is humility, right? That when we mentor, mentoring is not meant to be an ego trip for us who have experienced some things in life and are ready to transfer those things. So operating in humility and authenticity. So mentors are not perfect. And that's one of the values we need to understand. That's why we walk in humility as mentors. We know we're not perfect. We know that we've had issues in our life, and we may still have some that we're overcoming. So being humble, because kids will read you. They will check your mail if you're not being authentic and if you're being arrogant. I could tell you a story about my oldest daughter who checked me when she was 12 years old, and she got me in the corner and said, "You know what, Dad?" And I was her stepdad. She says, "You think you're perfect, don't you?" And she called me on the carpet. She read my mail, and it changed my perspective on fathering, but surely mentoring as well. So we've got being godly, courageous, humble, and finally, what we can underscore enough, guys and ladies, is that young boys and young men are hungry for love. And I know that our world doesn't tell us that boys and men won't respect, and that's true. But when young boys are in puberty and growing and developing, their need and call for love is so critical. And if that is absent in their familial relationships, it's incumbent upon a mentor to operate from a love center. And that idea is to be a person who selflessly cares for others. So it's so important that these values sets really inform how you go to work in your mentoring model. So I just want to share these. These are short and quick, and I think I'll take a second to go back over them real quick. So think great, be great, right? That the person you mentor can aspire to greatness is the first platform. Make sure you check any unhealthy attitudes and behaviors you have toward women and your biological father, because that will transfer in your language and your own attitudes and behavior, and even your dialogue, right? And we don't want to be toxic in our mentoring exchange with young boys and men. You saw from the video, I can assure you the young man that killed Charnay Watt back in 2009 got that from somewhere. He didn't come up with that idea that the way you solve relational issues that you kill a person. He didn't figure that out on his own. He saw that modeled, I promise you, somewhere. And we have to, that's what meant the opportunity for us mentoring young boys and men. We are actually saving lives. Dating violence right now and domestic violence is at an all-time high due to COVID-19. It's imperative that we have our own healthy attitudes about women and our biological fathers. And then these 4 great values for mentors, godly, courageous, humble, and loving, are so important when it comes to how we operate as mentors. So with that, I know it's a little in a lot of time, or a lot in a little time, but I appreciate you guys being here. I do have a book I wrote about it. It's available. Ruben, if you can get anybody to put their name in the chat or email, I can make sure they get a copy of that. But at this time, I'll turn it over to Ruben to facilitate any questions you may have about this or any other topics on mentoring.
Colin, thanks so much. That was really powerful. There were a couple of questions. One of them was, I'm not sure I have what it takes to be a mentor. Where do I start? I thought that was a powerful question.
Well, you started in the right place, because that's where I started. I didn't know I had what it took either. And I think that to even have that moment of clarity that you're not sure is really the foundation for what you need to have to do it. So if you're not sure, then you're on the right road, because that surely demonstrates the type of humility and authenticity that needs to be shared in your mentoring. When we mentor, our mentors need to know that we've had fears in our lives. We've been insecure in our life. So it's not that you can't have some uncertainty, but that you will grow up in those things as you do. And those are the admissions you make to mentees. When you mentor somebody, you say, hey, look, I'm not sure that I know it all, but there's some things I do know. I can assure you there's something you know that you can pass on. So think about the things you know as well.
That's great. We have time for one more question, but thanks so much, Colin. I really appreciate you doing this today. But basically, just real quick, how can we forgive our father if he's already passed away?
Oh my goodness, this is so good. That's one of my favorite questions, because I didn't know. Thank God I got to forgive my father before he passed away. I shared my dad wasn't in my life for 23 years. He came back in my life the year I got married, and I did have the chance to forgive him. And here's the beauty, and I still forgive him today. There are things that I have to forgive my father of that I've not yet encountered. So when my daughter just had a baby 3 months ago, I had to forgive my father for not being available to me to offer grandfather. But how you forgive your dad if he's not here is write a letter, okay? Write the letter to say the things you would say if he was here. And if you can go to that place where he is laid to rest, the cemetery or the funeral home or wherever that might, if you have that, then go to that place. If you can't, go to a place that's significant, that would have been a significant place for you or him, and read the letter out loud. Write a letter and read the letter out loud and offer your forgiveness out loud. You have to say those words. Dad, you did these things, you failed here, but I know now that my Heavenly Father has forgiven me, and I forgive you. Write a letter, read it.
Colin, thank you so much again, and we really just continue to watch how God's going to be using you from here on out. And at that point, we're going to go ahead and end the first session, and we're going to get ready to start session 2. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the day, folks.
God bless you. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
You too, brother.
Amen.
Talk to you soon.